keeping us alive now. You forget about that one. And you keep them coming in. You're doing well, son.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Everyone's expecting. If you know that well, you know. Do as I say, not as I do. Welcome, friends, you know. Unity and all that.
Hey, welcome everybody. It is Friday, two drunk dudes in a gun room, and we are ready for the weekend. Boy, I have got a show today. I have been looking forward to this because when I learned about this organization, it blew my mind with the stuff that they're doing. So let's get through the sponsors, and then we'll bring on Lori. So this show is brought to you by Operation Encore. Operation Encore is a 501c nonprofit. They are helping veterans transition from the military and veteran spouses into the music business and giving them help getting their career started. So go to operationencore.org and listen to Gun Room Radio.
You are not alone. There are so many. It's a mortar attack. Smaller fire and RPGs. We don't. He was sitting in the shadows with a gun in his hand and a lifetime of. Can remember when all the shows turned off at 12 a.m.
Hey, all right. So we're going to bring on Lori with Tree of Valor, and let's get into it.
Hello.
Hey, Lori, how you doing?
Excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we got a good view of the flag too. So I know that's a traditional podcast. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it is. I'm supposed to tell you right away. I'm supposed to tell you right away. Hi from Jason Steiner.
Okay.
From here. Before I forget, I just wanted to put it out there. This is his hi.
Yeah, no issue. Jason's an awesome dude. I'm sure he'll pop up in the chat at some point too. So why don't you give everybody a quick rundown about yourself and how Tree of Valor became a thing?
Okay. Well, the Tree of Valor itself actually started when my son went into the Marines. He was going on deployment. He was going to be deployed. And we had just wanted to do something special for him when he came home on leave. And so we had just decided that we were going to collect the pictures of our family and our friends. And we found this really neat wood from this company called Columbia Wood Products, Forest Products. And we made these wooden mementos out of these pictures. And he came home early. It was October, so we had the whole house decorated for Christmas, even though it was October. We had it all decorated, but we didn't have the tree decorated because someone had just given us an artificial tree. And it turned out that he didn't want to decorate it because he loved Christmas, and it was just like too much, right? You're about to be deployed. You're going to miss your first Christmas, all the things. So after he left, I didn't want to decorate it because, you know, I missed him. And so, but there's his little sister because all of the other siblings are grown and gone. And so she's looking at me like, you know, Mom, here's this naked tree. When are we going to decorate it? And so I realized that we had taken all these wooden mementos and they had all been on the dining room table for him to see when he came home, and he loved them. But we didn't really have a plan yet what we were going to do with them. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be our tree. So we put them on the Christmas tree, and that was our Christmas tree. And it was, to this day, the most beautiful Christmas tree we ever had.
That is awesome.
So that was how, just the first Tree of Valor started. We still have that poor old tree. She's barely holding on for life, but I don't think I probably could ever get rid of it. And it ended up that then he went on his deployment, and he sent us this amazing picture of all of them over in Okinawa. He's in the middle with his bucket hat on, and there's this beautiful either sunrise, sunset, whatever in the background. And it just says family at the bottom. And I was like, all this time I had been searching for family and friends, right, to put on the tree. And at that moment, I realized that family took on a whole new meaning.
Absolutely.
Because this, and of course, you as a veteran understand that in a way that civilians are just will never understand it. So every day we just kept getting more pictures from random places. We'd see a random story, and it was never super intentional, but it was like, looking back, it was meant to be, right? So fast forward to Halloween, and his sister is a special needs child, and she's in a wheelchair. She doesn't speak, but she's smart as a whip. And she has her very own way of communicating with us, which most special needs families. And it turned out that she wanted to be Miss America the Beautiful for Halloween and give out flags to every house that had a veteran. And she wanted her little friends to help her sing the Star Spangled Banner. It just doesn't get any more pure than that, right?
No.
So the milestone of that, was the house we got to that was a World War II veteran who came out and was trying to sing with us, with his daughter standing there crying. I mean, it was just beautiful. So at this point, we had about 300 pictures, right? It's October, and Veterans Day comes. We take her. She wants to go hand out flags for Veterans Day. We did that. And then I'm like, clearly God has a plan here. He wouldn't have given us all these pictures, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can call it algorithms. You can call it, law of the universe. You can call it whatever you want to call it. That we just kept meeting people and all the things. You call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it. But I don't believe in coincidence. So we go to Greensboro, North Carolina, and we know they do this. It's one of the big cities in North Carolina. And we know they do this big, First Friday Christmas event. So normally it takes 15 committees and 6,000 people to say yes to anything in any, city.
Right.
I had this idea with them. I'm like, listen, we have all these pictures. Can we bring some trees and line them up outside and put these pictures on them? Now, mind you, I had no trees except for the one in my house, right? Mind you, we had the pictures, but I hadn't made all of them into wooden mementos yet, right? Because I didn't know what God's plan was for these pictures. So this has been my mantra. I just get this idea, boom, I just go out, spill it. Sounds crazy. I don't even care, right? Because I know I know where these thoughts are coming from, and it's not because I'm crazy. Well, there could be some dispute to that, but the point is that I know that God has a plan for this. I know that he knows that you all need saved in some way. That's even just walking by and realizing there's a tree in a store and you see that someone cares about you.
Yeah.
And we've heard that that's literally all it takes sometimes. But it ended up that they said yes, we could bring the trees. So we ran around. My husband ran around. We were getting trees from this, there, and everywhere, right? Yep. Some sad looking trees, some of those were, but the presentation was as beautiful as we could. My friend Katie ran around everywhere, gathering up any particles of anything for us to put these pictures on. Lexi's nurse was both of our nurses. They were helping me. It was literally hilarious. And we were so excited. It was like we did too goofy to know any better, right?
Yeah.
But that one display then turned into them deciding we were going to do the whole Greensboro Culture Arts Center, 4 floors of trees, and it looked amazing. So then, stupid COVID came, and everyone had to take a nap for a while. But we just kept going on, and we made these little miniatures out of all the pictures we had, and put them on all these little trees that, of course, I would have, right? Because I'm the weird tree lady. And so my house looked like this beautiful little wonderland. I'm sure my husband was happy when COVID was over, just so he could stop looking at these trees and get them out of the house. Because they literally were like, it looked nice, but I'm sure it was a little much. So whatever. But anyway, so then we went to Cooper's Vintage Village. I call it the best kept secret in Kernersville, North Carolina. It's this little antique mall, and rented some spots in there. And we still have trees there. We actually have different little stores that still have some they did for July, but it really has taken on a total life of its own. And really the big first year of it, we weren't a nonprofit, was nothing but great Americans saying yes to us. Yes, you can use this empty space. Yes, you can have my tree. Yes, here's some lights. Yes, of course, from all these veterans. And that's where the whole project became Lexi's then.
Okay.
So I'm hoping she can come out, but she took over the whole project. And she is the reason why I say anyone can serve.
Yeah.
Because she just there's a organization called Operation Jersey Cares. They donated 40 cases, not boxes, cases of Girl Scout cookies to us because they knew she would give them out to veterans. They sent her 100. I know, right? And she did it last year, which is why, they didn't realize at that time who she was, because the Triad Honor Flight had kind of shared their cookies with us. But this year we went and they said, oh my gosh, they heard this story. They gave her 100 stars from retired flags to give out, which veterans love, right? Yeah. So when she goes out now, you either get a flag, you get a star, you get cookies, and she's kind of miserable if you don't take her out to do it. I mean, it is.
She's passionate.
She is. I mean, she always loved the flag. She always loved the national anthem because she's been watching baseball. That's her second love with her dad. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I didn't believe she liked it as much as he said. I just thought he wanted to take her to baseball games. And it was like their daddy-daughter date. And then I went with them. I intruded on a date. And I was like, wow, there's this nonverbal child in the stands. Whoa! I mean, you can't really appreciate it if your child's typical and that's just what they do.
Right.
But when it's not what your child typically does, it's beautiful when you see them really excited about anything. Yeah. And veterans are what does that for her, baseball, but it just watching, so many people have their own feelings about, the way the direction the country is going in. And I just always say there are still good people in America. And if you can't find one, you need to be one, and then you'll have it. If you can't find it, be it, and then you'll have it.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. You find what you search for, and if you want to see a bunch of negative stuff, you can find it.
And that's what'll come to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it really will. That's what you're going to bring, if that's who you are, what and what you're looking for. So, and, this summer we decided to take a little break because her health's really deteriorating. And things that she could do even a year ago, she cannot do now. Things like last year, she could eat, 3 or 4 pieces of Domino's pizza.
Mhm.
This year, you're pureeing Domino's pizza. So
Wow.
clearly, something's happening here, right?
Right.
So we wanted to make this announcement. If now's an okay time to make it, although I
Yeah.
might wait. I might wait. Maybe I'll wait for her to come out because she doesn't even know yet, and so I'm not sure she'll know what it means when she comes out. But I'll wait. I'll wait for her. But she the project wasn't supposed to be about Lexi. It was supposed to be about the veterans. It is about the veterans. It's about the Gold Star families. And I just want them to know that on her watch, neither of you will be forgotten. My watch either, but you know,
Yeah.
and she's a way of showing all of us that you can serve in some way, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I got a TikTok video that you guys have put up. Is it okay if I
Oh
go ahead
yeah,
and,
oh yeah.
yeah, let's go ahead and let everybody see that this is an amazing video, everybody. Come on. Technology. That is awesome. If that doesn't choke up, I don't know what will.
Well, that is one. Unfortunately, that's right now. Excuse me. That's one of our least seen parts of our tribute. We have about at least 150 trees, right? From
Mhm.
12 inches to 12 feet, different colors, mean different things. Not like weird, like lime green or something, but they each have very significant, like purple for Purple Heart, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So we decided, because our first tree was a family tree, as we would talk to people and meet people, they would be like, "Oh, my Uncle Bob, but he was in Vietnam, but he's gone now." And I said, "You know what? Uncle Bob wants to be remembered more than your dad sitting beside you, because Uncle Bob's gone." There's an old saying that we all die two deaths. One is when we pass, and the other is when our names stop being said. And so I'm not as much about the names, obviously, as I am about the faces, right?
Right.
Because I think they tell a much bigger story when you see those faces. And so we encourage people to just give me 3 pictures, right? You and 2 other people in your family that are in the service. Just start with those 3. And then what happens is, when you give me those pictures, I'll get them made, I'll put them on a tree, and then your family name goes at the top of the tree. But then, fantastically enough, you will start to find other family members. And then all of a sudden, your little tree that had 3 pictures now has 13 pictures on it, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, one of the largest trees that we have is from, I want to say, the Donahue Turner family, and she has almost 30 family members. It is one heck of a tree. And so she actually has her husband on there along with his brother. They both served in Vietnam. One came home, and her husband obviously came home, but his brother did not. So she actually gave me his Marine uniform.
Oh, wow.
So we do this thing called Paint the Town Red, White, and Blue. We find a town that wants to really remember you, right? And The first town that did it was a town called Reedsville, North Carolina.
I know where
And
Reedsville is.
you do?
I do.
Okay. How do you know?
I drove a truck for 6 years, and
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm actually, my family's it's still in Georgia, so I'm in Missouri for a business basically. So
Okay. Okay. So Reedsville has one that has the main street, South Scales Street, and they had 16 businesses on this one little street that had, I want to say, close to 30 trees amongst all of them, because some of them did more than one tree. It might have been 25, whatever.
Mhm.
But as a veteran, or sorry, or a Gold Star family member, or whatever, as you're walking down the street, and I had veterans say to me when, when I was there, they're like, "Yeah, I saw you had a tree up there." I'm like, "I'm going to give you a challenge." His name was Scott Marsh, and he lived in Reedsville. I said, "I'm giving you a challenge. I want you to go and count how many trees are how many businesses in this town." And we actually added a couple more after that day, but he was like, "Yeah, this is something else." So to see it, and it wasn't Memorial. I mean, it wasn't Veterans Day. It wasn't Christmas. Anybody can say to me, "Oh yeah, I'll put troops on my trees when it's December." You
Yeah.
know, great for you. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm not taking anything away from that. But if
Right.
you really want to serve the troops, you need to show that when it's not Christmas, when it's not Veterans Day, right? When it's not even Memorial Day, when it's not a holiday, right? You want to surprise him, because it's meant to be that the person that needs to see it is going to be the person that sees it.
Right.
And so this town, who we gave them this little challenge, I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a town to do this." And this woman named Amy, she owns this little store called Reedsville Trading Post. She got her town all into this, idea, and they ended up with 16 businesses. And so now it's moved on to the next town in still Rockingham County, go Rockingham County, and called Eden, North Carolina. And so they're going to do the same thing.
That is awesome.
So,
And it just shows, there is people out there that can separate all the politics from the veterans, because I don't know any veteran that has anything to do with the government. We are out there serving and doing the best that we can. And, we have our opinions too, no different than anybody else. But to hate the veterans, especially the Vietnam era veterans,
mhm,
the welcome that they got coming home was just
not
horrendous.
welcome.
Yeah. And the the fact that some people just can't separate things that our government does versus the people that are forced to do it,
Mhm,
and
yeah.
I tell everybody, when you're overseas, I don't care. You can say you're over there for your country. You can say that you're patriotic, but the truth is, while you're there, you're just fighting to go home.
And
You know?
I've heard you're fighting from the brother on the right and the brother on the left.
Oh, absolutely. You want them to go home just like you, but nobody in the middle of a firefight is thinking about anything other than getting home safely, So a lot of people just can't separate that. And they see the veterans and they see the military, and they instantly think politics. I get it all the time with my podcast, all the time.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. People, I had one recently ask me when I was going to go storm the Capitol, and I just laugh, I've had people tell me all the time, "Oh, you better watch out. They're coming for your guns." They know nothing about the show is about nothing but just highlighting veterans. That's really all it is,
Although
And
I am looking for the the second drunk dude, though. I mean, if there's
so
two drunks in a,
it used to be, so a little
not to
back
deflect, I'm just
a little back history. My old first sergeant is the one that started this podcast with me.
Oh,
He
okay.
owned a gun business, and we spent a bunch of time in there building guns, reloading ammo, just all sorts of stuff. And we also spent time in there drinking a few beers and just having a good time.
Right.
And, we were not getting satisfaction through the VFW as far as feeling like we were doing enough. So we started this podcast and we filmed it in the gun room,
Wow.
and that's where the two drunk dudes in a gun room came from.
Wow. Wow.
The second season, for personal reasons, he decided to drop off. And, I haven't been able to let go of the name and,
I like it. No, I like it. So no, it's good. I just had to ask just because
I just tell everybody now you have to drink more so you see two of me.
Yeah, I do have a drink, but it's not anything like what y'all drink, and so I am like the lightest drinker ever, and so I'm like a pathetic drinker. So
well, tonight I'm drinking a little bit of Four Roses. So
I know I've seen your other podcast, and you're like showing what you drink all the time. Yeah,
So I'm a big bourbon guy. I love talking because bourbon is that social drink. You don't drink it.
I've never had bourbon, so now
Really?
I feel like I have to go drink it.
Absolutely. I can definitely send you some recommendations because
Okay.
bourbon is, it's like a wine. Your palate is going to favor some versus others. They're not all the same. So, but that's why I like it is because they call it a sipping whiskey because it's designed to share with somebody. When you open a bottle of bourbon, you're supposed to sit down and enjoy it with friends and just have a good conversation and enjoy your company, not sit there and get wasted to where you don't remember what happened yesterday,
Yeah.
And, so I've started making my own bourbon and
you make your own.
I do.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. So it's just a little bit of a hobby for me and I enjoy it. And so that's what I drink,
What you make. So
Yep.
Hey,
Some
can't
of
support
what I
yourself.
make. There will be some. I'm taking 11 bottles, I think, to Hero Stock.
Oh, nice. So see, you're gonna have to find me so I can. Or you're giving it as like a.
Yeah, I'm just giving it away to
Gotcha.
To people that have been on my podcast and people.
I have to try it.
A lot of people that I haven't met in person yet that are going to be showing up there that I talk to daily. My board members for Gunroom Radio. I talk to them on the daily, and I haven't met them yet. So
wow.
Wow. But I do understand about how passionate you guys are with your 501c because it becomes a part of you.
Oh, it does. Like you feel like you're
yeah.
almost like a weirdo, obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
And you, but I always say, I want to see if the nurse is going to bring Lexi out. I feel like, how do I say this? The deeper the holes of things that you are missing in your life or that you're sad about, right? You have to fill them with something, or you might fill them with something bad, right? Drugs or too much alcohol or a myriad of things, right? But I don't choose to do that. I choose to do this. And this, over the summer, like once we did all these conventions in June for the VFWs, and it was thrilling. But then July came and we really wanted to focus on Lexi, and trying to figure out what the doctors can't. And her nurse said to me, I said, I'm just going to, shut the doors on it for right this. Oh gosh, sorry.
What's that?
That's my dog. Pigtail, come here, baby. So
I said, my dog does it too.
I said, we're just going to shut the doors on it for the month, for like July and August. And she said to me, do you really think that is a good idea? She said, do you really think that's going to bring healing for either one of you? And she was right. Oh my gosh. totally sunk into a hole in the month of July because I felt like, even though I was doing the mom things that I needed to do,
Right.
it feels, it definitely fills spaces that are, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a firm believer, and I can say this because I'm an example of it. Um, I there was a lot of stuff I didn't like talking about, and
Mhm.
I was not big on the VA method of therapy, and I finally found a psychiatrist. I got the medication right, and then we started this podcast, and it has helped me tremendously. You know,
Mhm.
I talk about a lot of things on here that my wife just recently learned about me
Wow.
these last few years.
Mhm.
So yes, podcasting, talking, getting things out absolutely does help. You just have to figure out what way you feel comfortable. And when you get to that point, now like you guys got the Tree of Valor, we got Gunroom Radio, and you start sinking yourself into it, and you start surrounding yourself with people that care, that
And that have their own visions,
and they
right?
have
That
their
are
own
good,
vision.
that are good.
Yep.
And that's what you do though. Like, as all of you podcasters are amazing, how you bring, people together. Like, you're really doing that whole VFW hashtag still serving. You really are, because you're connecting the veterans with all these other organizations that really want to help them. And Jason talks about that all the time with Hero Stock. How maybe you don't want to ride a motorcycle, maybe you want to ride a horse, maybe you want to play hockey. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to go fishing, right? And so Hero Stock is this amazing place where it's gonna run the gamut of like all the things,
Yeah.
right? And so it's funny because I kind of feel like the whatever, right? I don't have any of that. I'm just there to tell you that I'm not going to forget about you. And all of this that we're doing, all of this collecting, even down to the families, which, going back to that whole Reedsville paint the town, that woman with that big tree full
Mhm.
of veterans, the store that's in Reedsville, and many of the stores in Reedsville, when I went back, when their Paint the Town was over, because we had like a start and an end, I went back to get them, and some of them were like, no. Oh my gosh. Some of them were like, no, we want to keep honoring them. Come
Yeah.
here, Joe. We want to keep honoring them. And I thought, wow, one of the women was crying. One of the women actually had us take the tree. And then she told me this story. Her name's Robin, and she has an art studio. And she said to me, the thing was over. So she said, here's the tree or whatever. And she said, I want to tell you the story. She said, there's an event center right beside her. And she said, this African American gentleman came up, and he was an artist too. And we were talking. And all of a sudden, he looked up in my window because she had the Black military history tree in her window.
Hmm.
And we did it actually for February, but we had it on our truck, and we're like, would you like this? She's like, yeah, I love this. So she put it in her window, and he looked up at it and he saw the tree, and he said, thank you so much for doing this. And he said, can I give you a hug? And so I said to her, I said, well, this is my question for you though. If he comes back, and I'll be honest, I didn't think about any of this when I started Paint the Town, right?
Right.
I said, when he comes back and your tree's out, like, how do we explain why we chose to stop? Because in my mind, obviously, I'm ridiculously biased. It's not about the tree. It's not about me. It's not about Tree of Valor, not Lexi, none of it. It's about the veterans on the tree, that you not forget them.
Yeah.
She said to me, go back and get my tree. And she put it back up in her store. That is stellar.
Yeah. I think that is amazing because just like you said, you don't even know how many people you're impacting. You only
Mhm.
know the few stories that reach back, but how many people stop, look at these trees, and nobody's there, nobody notices. It's a moment of silence for themselves and what they're looking at, and
Right.
they're looking at one soldier, but their memories is taking them to somebody else that's close to them.
Right.
And
Well,
and you don't even know how many of those people you're impacting.
and I don't. I have, our goal is to have, to take all these family trees, all these other trees. I'm always like circling, like my circle goes way back till I come back into the conversation, but they're all going into a giant Tree of Valor conservatory. And so the conservatory will be like, if you look down in, like if from the drone and you see it on the screen, or you're in a helicopter, you look down, it will look like a giant Christmas tree, not like a triangle, but like a Christmas tree, all jetted out like, the branches.
Yeah.
But each one of those conservatories is a different branch, a different roar, Purple Hearts, Gold Star families. Each one will be a different thing. Because some people may, your time may only be like, you can't come for hours, right? But today, even if you wanted to bring your kids, right? Today we're going to study World War II, because each of the trees has a story, right? And it's taken us a long time to get to this place of having these storyboards. We're literally just getting to this place. But each tree is a story. So we've had like labels on the trees, but we actually, some of them, when we started this, were supposed to be about Donald Dunn, right? They were supposed to be your experience, your comrades. The tree was supposed to be pictures of you and who you served with, so that someday, and when I thought of that, I didn't even know I was doing a conservatory at the time, right? But at that time, I thought, I want to do Donald Dunn's tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someday, you might not be ready to see your tree, which I think for the Gulf War era, that is a thing, right? Because it was fresh, way fresh. But someday you will be the Vietnam veteran, the Korean War veteran, you'll be the World War II veteran. You'll be that age where you are ready to see it. And I will be the place for you to come to, right? And your family after you're gone, right, will be there, especially for those family trees. Those things, I can't help it. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but they're freaking magnificent. Like, there's like 30 or 40 of them. And when you see your whole family, it is literally, when you see your tree, and Jason's family, he has several family members who are in the military. When he sees all of them together on that tree, like, it really moves you in a way you don't even expect, right? And you didn't serve with those people, but that America's Family Tree Forest is the only place, probably in the world, really, where your whole family serves together from every generation by being part of the tribute. And as we travel around or they come to an event, they see what the fabric of our nation really looks like. That's how you see it. When you see all these families where you think, wow, like, that's tradition right there, right? Like, that's the thick of it right there. And that's just one part of our tribute, and it's a part that I wish got more exposure, because when you give me your family, you don't expect it to be in a special little box in my garage, which is unfortunately right now where a lot of them are, because we are, for the love of God, we are looking for a place before this conservatory bit happens to put our trees as a headquarters somewhere in the vicinity. So Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, Cartersville, somewhere, so that as Lexi's health is challenging to us, I'm close enough to be here, but able to take her, because she always wants to go, right?
Yeah.
Always wants. Is she coming out? Okay, maybe when she's done. Can you get her sash? Bring out her sash thing. I want you to see this. So something she has. I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about a headquarters for.
Yeah, so I really, really need that. Like, I'm telling you, we have a trucking company in our town who is literally holding a tractor trailer full of trees for us.
Oh, wow.
for a month. They've been on there since June 29th. And I cannot, I'll just say God has not shown me where they're supposed to go yet. So I have places further away that will take them. But I need to get a lot of the trees ready for, like, we have a list of places that we are going to go, right? And so you have to have time to prepare the trees, and you wrap them up. And then when it's time to go, you put them on the trailer and, off you go.
Right.
And I don't have that place. It's kind of making me, like, really, it's making me crazy. But God, I'm sure has a plan, because every other time where I'm like, just like, I can't figure this out. We don't, if we had a grant or something, but it's, there's places, but people want this giant amount of change for you to have it. I mean, we're not like a little, I just need a desk. No. And I don't want to put them in storage, right? When you give me your family, it's not because you thought I was going to pack it in storage. When you give me a tree, it wasn't because you thought I was going to pack it in storage, and that costs money. But I didn't just envision this all in my head, and I really feel like he has a plan, and I just am waiting for him to tell me. This trucking company called Best is literally, really, that's the best name for them, because what they literally will take my trees 150 miles anywhere in North Carolina for free.
Wow.
It's like it's a trucking school. And so, they open up the back, put the trees on, and off they go. I mean, for free, because the kids have to drive, or the students have to drive, right? But they didn't have to say yes to that, right? They didn't have to say yes. But that's what I'm saying. I get these crazy schemes, and then I'm like, the answer is always no if you don't ask, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta ask. So I just found out, I don't think Lexi's going to be able to come out, but my husband's going to bring out something of hers for you to see.
Okay.
So I want to make this little announcement that Jason just told me about Hero Stock. So if people want to see the heart behind our project, they need to go to our website called treeofvalor.org. Scroll down and you'll see it says the heart behind the project. And there's a video. Or you can go to our TikTok or whatever, it's on there. But the Red Cross chose her to be a civilian hero because of how many veterans she has gone out and collected their pictures, given them smiles, flags, cookies, right? So they chose her to be this civilian hero. And this was last year. So that's what the video is about. It's because all the other people they chose, because there was like a World War II veteran, Triad Honor Flight, an entire fire department. I mean, this was amazing. They picked this little girl, right?
Yeah.
But so you have to meet Lexi's. Are you bringing her out then? No. Okay. So come here. This is Miss Val. Come here, Miss Val. She's gonna be embarrassed. This is Miss Val.
Hi.
This is Lexi's nurse, and I'll explain this in a minute. But I just have to say, she's a veteran. Go Army. Yeah. Wouldn't you know? Of course, now when we started this, we've had Val as a nurse for 10 years. Almost 10 years. Anytime we do any errands and I leave these two to go off on their errand or whatever, she sends me a picture of Lexi with a veteran. She makes sure that her girl, as she calls her girl. I mean, if we went somewhere the other day to a birthday thing, right? We're leaving, right? This is how good God is. We're leaving. It's like, what time of night? 9:30. And we look across the parking lot in this parking garage, and what do we see? A recruiter, an Army recruiter. He totally hooks my kid up with shirts, pencils, cups, hats, all the things.
That's awesome.
But most important to her was it was like the cherry on the sundae, right?
Yeah.
She got his picture. She gave him a flag. It totally was the most beautiful way to end her night. And you know what? He didn't have to say yes.
Right.
None of these veterans that say yes have to say yes. They really don't. But they can see that she's completely genuine. So I just wanted you to meet Miss Val since you can't meet Lexi. But we're going to show you this. So this is thanks to Tim Woods, who was the state commander for North Carolina, right? He would he would let all the other states know, you have to give this little girl your state pin. She wears this like she's so proud of it. I mean, she is
It should be.
I mean, other people give her other pins, you know, that are on here as well, but she is so like VFW, I mean not VFW, POW pins,
Yeah.
Vietnam pins, and she's 13.
Yeah.
Right? She's in a wheelchair, she doesn't speak, and this is what makes her happy.
That's
This
awesome.
showing the world that I support you. I'll give this back to you now.
That is
Thank you.
awesome.
So thank you, Val.
So there's a company out there that you guys are trying to get sponsored by.
Yes.
What is their name?
Well, there's a couple, but the big one is, hey Jason, the big one we're just about to talk about your event, so I wish he was on here. Jason just told me a couple days ago that if Lexi can get out there to Hero Stock, that he is going to make her the guest of honor.
Y'all, anybody listening, you guys need to reach out to the corporate office, share this video that'll be up on every channel. I mean, it's on 10 different channels, so it'll be on Spotify. Share a video and send it to them, and we've got to make it happen.
So what we want Camping World to hook us up with a wheelchair accessible RV so that she can be able to sit comfortably like in the RV as opposed to like in the chair for 17 hours, right? She can't do it. She can't do it at all. At one time, you know, we took her to Florida, you know, to any place we went, right? Her grandma says every time we talk to her, you know, when are you coming up to visit? We can't.
Yeah.
We just can't. Now, you know, if they would be our sponsor, you know, we went to them actually to the Greensboro store and said, you know, we want to travel the United States, show people these trees. She wants to give out flags. And the store, his name was Chase Rhodes. He loved it. He's like, I'm going to email the owner. This is a fabulous idea. But we weren't ready then. But now it's not about whether we're ready. It's that we have to do it while she can do it.
Right.
Because next year, I don't know what next year looks like.
Right.
Right. So not to be like negative or Debbie Downer, just it is what it is. Right. And if I could get him or anybody, you know, we need help getting her out there. And the whole idea is that Bree, Jason's daughter, is going to be starting the event off with her singing. She's going to be singing the national anthem. And that is Lexi's favorite song. And she will be, I actually want her to kind of meet Bree before, like on FaceTime or whatever. But I want her to be able to, like, you know who this girl is. But Jason's going to have her come up and be with Bree while she sings these songs. I mean, he didn't have to do that. That just tells you what kind of person he is, right?
Jason 316. I'm telling you, Jason 316. He is an amazing man. He really is.
I mean, really, because you know this is not something that happens to. This is like Make-A-Wish, right? We've never actually had a Make-A-Wish. She's 13 years old, and we've never done any wish yet. Every wish we had was canceled because she would end up having so many seizures, right? So it's like he's doing a Make-A-Wish in a way, right? And he just didn't even know it. So I'm trying really hard not to cry. I'm super proud of myself right now. But you know, she had, when she won that, not won, but when she got the Salute to Heroes Award, Don Timmons from one of the Veterans Coffees here, he did, you know what a 21 gun salute is, right?
Absolutely. Unfortunately.
He did something completely different called a 21 rose salute. He got all of these veterans, I think from like CVA. They were all, bikers. That's her new thing. She loves bikes. Oh my gosh, she totally loves that. And now, every time she hears a motorcycle, she thinks it's got to be a veteran, right? But anyway, we went to this event. He called her, had her come up front, and these guys, one by one, each came up and gave her a rose. I mean, it's just it's those kind of things that people. I hope the veteran world understands that you guys really are serving when you change the life of a child. You guys could do your own Make-A-Wish Foundation, because kids oh my gosh, Jason, yes, she's going to be freaking so excited about that. He just said we have 1,000 motorcycles.
Yep.
So we have to find a way to get her out there. We really do. And that's why we thought, you know what, the RV's got to be the way to go, because it's the only way that her body can be, because she has such terrible tone issues that she can't control, that even going 3 hours to the beach. We went, and here's a good example. We went to Florida this March to visit her grandparents. And we got down there, and I was certain that she could just push through it, right? But she had nothing. She had nothing for them. And they're her favorite people in the whole world. She had nothing. And then by the 4th, we were there 3 or 4 days. And all of a sudden, a Vietnam veteran who's one of their neighbors shows up. And all of a sudden, this light like sparks, right? And you could see her just raise herself up a little bit, like she knows this is her purpose, right? I mean, there's people that go to their grave that don't know what their purpose is. Let's be straight, right? They do.
Right.
This kid, she knows. She sparks up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go find a friggin' VFW. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what we did. We put her in the car the next day. Grandparents, all of us, we went. I found a VFW. That night, she like exploded. I mean, and I know this isn't supposed to be about Lexi, and I don't normally talk about her that much. You guys are doing good things, and you need to know it too. And the things she's doing for you, which is why you have places like the Texas Roadhouse in Salisbury. They saw we had this 12-foot tree. And they knew that she had been going around for a year and collecting all these pictures from all these amazing veterans in Rowan County. So last year, they said, we want that tree for Veterans Day, which was the first time a restaurant asked for a tree. That wasn't Christmas. I was like exploding. So for Veterans Day through Christmas, they had this 12-foot tree with probably 150 pictures on it of all local veterans. Dude, it's so beautiful. And people loved it so much. They're like, every year from now on, we want that tree.
That is awesome.
So
I think anybody that's listening, what we ought to do is each call the Camping World there in Greenville and tell them what we want, because the cost of a rental and the cost, they should donate your fuel too. And
please.
You were talking about, in the greater scheme of the business world, that is nothing. They're out
to them, yeah.
$700, they're out $700 in rental that they would have rented. A little bit of depreciation on the camper or the RV, and $1,000 in fuel. And
it is a great advertisement, though, right? I mean, it's not like there's not, anyone who's not going to see this, because we're all going to see it, right?
I'm going to call them and tell them if they're willing to do it, I will run an ad for them on my radio station for the rest of the year.
Oh my gosh! Wow! Absolutely. Oh my gosh!
I will absolutely do that. So
wow!
I am going to call them Monday and
Oh my
we're going to see
goodness.
if we can make it happen.
Wow. It would be, honestly, it would just be fantastic. It really would. Because,
I'm going to type up an email and try to find an email for them, and then I'm
Mhm.
going to call them on Monday.
Okay. Wow.
So
That's seriously amazing. And nothing for nothing, there's so many other places that have invited us to come that we have this same problem, right? Meaning, as soon as his event's over, the next week is the Citadel for POW MIA event, right?
yeah,
I would love to take that girl to that, but it's the same thing. It's not nearly as long of a trip, right?
hmm
But the point is that what an experience to give her with her very favorite veterans, which are Vietnam veterans, right?
yeah,
And they get as much out of her as she does them. And I seriously, I do feel bad that I'm talking about this so much because I don't normally. So this all just happened with Jason. And everyone has to go to Hero Stock. Like, I want
absolutely.
everyone to go from all over the country. Get on those bikes, get out there, right? You all do
Yeah.
your mile, from California to Washington. You can
We'll,
go from
we'll turn
wherever
it
to
into the new
Nebraska,
Sturgis. We'll turn it into the new Sturgis.
right? Well, this is the thing. It's right there at 9/11, right? And so that's what we're bringing. We're bringing first responder trees. We're bringing law enforcement trees because that's what he asked us to bring. But he also asked us to bring gold star trees. But I have like 100 by 15-foot area, which leaves me lots of room to bring our Twin Towers trees, our 20-year war trees,
Yeah.
everything that happened. I mean, it's going to yeah, it's so beautiful and inspiring. Not to mention, the 22 a day, because you can't ever talk about
Yeah.
veterans and not talk about that. So we already contacted Jay Quick from the American Legion in Omaha, and he got us 22 chairs, and we have 22 flag covers, and we have 22 pictures of veterans that we have lost in veteran suicide.
Wow. That
And
is
that
awesome.
is part of our, it's sad to, I'm like, should I bring this? And he's like, yes, because their families, and I know this, want them to be remembered.
Absolutely. Well, Miss Lori, we're getting to the top of the hour, and there's another show that shares this server, so they'll be coming up on next. Real quick, where's the best place for them to find out? I've had you guys' Facebook strolling down here. Where else can they find you guys at?
We have a website, the Tree of Valor, .org. Same,
Awesome.
the same thing as our emails, the Tree of Valor @gmail.com. The only other push I have to put is for the South Carolina veterans. It's called Upstate Salute. That's like for Veterans Day they're doing in Greenville, South Carolina. They asked us to come and do the concourse, and they said, blow our minds. So I really would love to see people listening to this. That's the place to go for Veterans Day, which is really the day after, but which is great because then people don't, there's only so many things to do on Veterans Day. This is the next day. So you have to come out because, it's something to see. And we want to see you. We want your picture. And if you don't have your picture, we'll take it.
All right.
And that's what I want. People send me your pictures. That's what I want. So, but thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Let me throw our closing up real quick, and then if you don't mind holding once we come offline, we'll talk a little bit.
Okay.